be going over the 5.1, 5.2 study guide. Just remember that you're reading the directions. It says find the ratio, then find and interpret the value of the ratio. So when you're interpreting, you're kind of translating what does that all mean. The first thing you want to do is look at your oats to pecans and then look at your granola recipe here. I'm going to go a little fast just for the sake of time. I try to keep it under 15 minutes, so be sure to pause it, go back anytime you need to. The first thing you want to do is write the ratio. So the ratio is 4 oats, because that's where I got it from, to pecans is half. Well, this is a ratio is the same as dividing, which means it is 4 divided by half, which equals 4 divided by half. We know that this is a complex fraction, so we can just rewrite it like this. We know that for fractions, you have to keep, change, flip, and when you multiply, 4 goes over 1, and that gives you 8. So it's 8 times more, which means there are 8 times more oats than there are pecans. That's how you interpret it. Okay, so you just basically take your answer and you write times more, because that's interpreting the value, that there are 8 times more oats than there are to pecans. Raisins to honey, I'm getting it right from there. So there's 1 to 2. 1 divided by 2, which equals half. So there's half times more. There are half the times of raisins to honey. Okay, almonds to cranberries. So almonds is half. I'm getting it from here again. And then your ratio is cranberries is 3/4. So we are writing it half divided by 3/4. I kind of skipped this part here, which you can still write. That's the ratio. And then you keep, switch, flip. So keep, change, flip. We can cross cancel. So the 2 and the 4, if I look at them like this, we can divide both by 2. That gives me 1. That gives me 2, which equals 2/3 of almonds times more than there is cranberries. Now we could write 2/3 times the almonds than cranberries, but I'm okay with this. Oats to honey, 4 to 2. And again, I'm getting it from here. So 4 divided by 2, which equals keep, switch, flip. Don't forget to flip. And that gives you, you can cross cancel 4 over 2, or that equals 2 times more. Pecans to raisins. So it's a ratio. The pecans are half to 1. So half divided by 1 over 1. Keep, change, and then flip, which equals half times more. All right, these are find the unit rate. It says show your work. So I'm going to expect, 300 miles in 6 hours. And basically, you know that 6 goes into 300. So you can divide by 6, divide by 6. I kind of just do it like that. That's fine with me too. So this is 1, and 300 divided by 6 is 50. So it's 50 miles. And I will be looking for unit because this is rate per hour or 1 hour. So I am looking for labels here. Because this is unit rate, we have to write the unit. You should write the unit always. In every problem, it cannot hurt at all. So no one's going to take a point away for not writing the unit. 2 grams for every 1/4 serving. So I have 2 grams divided by 1/4. So keep, change, flip. 2 times 4, which equals 8 grams per serving. Okay? 8 grams per serving, or 1 serving is fine. $3.60 for 9 cans. So we're going to divide both by 9. Now remember, 9 divided into $3.60. Watch your decimal, place your decimal on top. And then you're going to go 0. 9 goes into it 4 times. So that's 36. Subtract, you get 0. And then, so it's going to be 0.40 per, that's dollars, per can. Sorry about that, a little messy. All right. Kilograms for every, 2/3 kilograms for every 3/4 foot. So 2/3 divided by 3/4. Keep, switch, flip, keep, switch, flip, and then multiply across. 2 times 4 is 8, and 3 times 3 is 9. So you're going to have 8/9 kilogram. Whoops, sorry about that. 8/9 kilogram per foot, per 1 foot or per foot. You can write per, you don't have to put the slash, but either way, as long as you have the correct units. So be very careful. Whatever comes first here, you write first. Whatever comes next here, you write next. Flip over ratio tables. So this is kind of like logic, okay? And you're trying to find, you're using various operations. We tend to use multiplying and dividing the most because they're the easiest rules to work with. So you can always go back to unit rate, which might be easier if you're having a hard time solving. Now, let's just, if I wanted to do unit rate, 3/9 is the equivalent to 1/3. So if you ever get stuck anywhere, go back to this unit because working with one is easier. But I know from here to here, I multiplied by 4 to get to 12. So I'm going to multiply this by 4, and that gives me 36. And then 3 times 12 to get to 36. So 9 times 12 gives me 108. And then 9 times 5 is 45. So 3 times 5 is 50. Okay, so you can use different methods. You can go from the 3 to the 36. So there's various methods that you can use. I use 3 times 12 is 36. And so 9 times 12 is 108. Let's look at the next one. You have another ratio table, teaspoons and baking powder. So they already have a unit rate of 1, which is good because that's easier to work with. And then your teaspoons is 1/4. So looking at this, 1/4 times 3 is 3/4. So 1 times 3 is 3. Now you have a 6. 1 times 6 is 6. So 1/4 times 6 is 3/2. And then you have 1/4 and 2. 1/4 times 8 is 2. So 1 times 8 is 8. Okay, so just kind of use your clues. And using 1 is probably the easiest way to go. Looking at the next one. Okay, so I'm going to look at what they give me first. So 5 times 3, that's the easy ones. I do those first. So 1/5 times 3 is 3/5. Then I have a 1. So I have something being multiplied by 5. 1/5 times something equals 1. So I know if I multiply by 5, then I'm going to get 5/5, which gives me 1. So times 5. And then 5 times 5 is 25. Now I have this 30. Well, from 1 to 6/5. And then I have 1/5 to 6/5. So I'm going to look around to see what would be the easiest way to go. So I'm going to do the 1/5 times 6. So 1/5, let's do it this way so you can see. Times 6 gives me 6/5. So 5 times 6 gives me 30. And they're all equivalent. So anywhere you go across the board, they're going to be equivalent. If you needed to solve this one first to get to your 1, you can do that and then work your way around. Last one, you have 1/8 to 4. So if you think about it this way, I know that, let me see, where would I start? I can do 4 times 2 is 8. So you can start anywhere on the board. You can use the whole ratio table to solve. You don't have to start here. You don't have to, you can always go back to your original 1. So if I multiply this by 2, I get 2/8, which is equivalent to 1/4. Now I can do, let's see, 1/8 times 6 is 2. So 4 times 6. Oops, sorry, I made a mistake here. Let's go back. I have, let's see. Okay, let's do this one. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So, okay, caught myself. 1/8 times 16. I made an error there. And then is 2, because if I did 1/8 times 16, there you go. 16 over 8, which equals 2. And so 4 times 16 is 64. Now I'm going to do 2 divided by 1. And 64 divided, so 2 divided by 2, not feeling well, is 1. So 64 divided by 2 is 32. All right, sorry about that confusion here. All right, so good luck on that. Again, use your clues. You can always go to your 1 first if that's easier to work with, but you can use any of these ratios to solve the next problem. The only problem is if you get one incorrect one, as you notice, like when I was doing 1/8 times 2, I was thinking of fourth. Times 6, then I would have made an error here. So 1/8 times 16. So you got to be really, really careful, and good luck.